So in this video, Kevin and I want to cover how you can transition from the CPM world to the world of Takt. And we're going to cover the different nuances of that and give our best advice. Let me first of all say that it is my hope that that all current scheduling or production planning systems work under the umbrella of Takt going forward in the future. We understand that clients still require CPM schedules and require them contractually for the forensic analysis. So we're very compassionate about people who are stuck in that environment. And then the message for owners and policymakers out there would be, let's switch entirely. So what Kevin and I will do is have a dialogue here about how we can transition from CPM to Takt. So I think we'll just go back and forth a little bit and talk about what our different bits of advice are and see if we can cover the spectrum. Okay, so Kevin, you start. We'll just go back and forth one on one. What is your advice switching from CPM to Takt?
Good builders with CPM will mimic Takt. So when you're switching,
that's a good one.
Try to pull out, understand the principles of Takt, understand the goal of Takt, and then try to pull out all of that Takt builder wisdom from your CPM and represent it in the Takt format, time by location on a rhythm. And it's amazing, when you have a good CPM schedule, it's amazing how much good Takt wisdom there is in there to be extracted. So that's one thing I would say. That's one bit of advice.
I like that. Okay, and this is going to be fun. And I don't mean to be inappropriate for this one, but my advice for CPM to Takt would be don't overemphasize the importance of CPM in the overall system, because people are like, I can't do anything if I don't have everything logic tied in one schedule. I can't do anything without it. I've got to be safe. The analogy that I like to use is, let's say having a CPM schedule and feeling like you can't be without it is like saying I can't be married without a contract, not just the marriage, but a contract of what the consequences are if my spouse cheats on me. And also, I can't be married without 24/7 full surveillance on my spouse and where he or she is and what they're doing. The contract and the surveillance will not prevent your spouse from cheating on you. That's just not how it's going to work. Love, connection, service, presence, having a real relationship, giving. These are the things. If somebody is disenchanted with a marriage, there isn't anything that can stop them from cheating. You know what I mean? There's no contract, there's no surveillance, there's no private investigator that could ever stop it. So that doesn't keep, the contract and the surveillance doesn't keep you safe. What keeps you safe is your investment in doing the right thing and preventing it from happening in the first place. And that's the difference between Takt and CPM in the first place is we're expecting people outside of having real conversations to just do the right thing based on fear of a contract or surveillance. No, Kevin and I are interested in preventing the delays, preventing the variation, preventing the crash landing from ever even happening in the first place. If you implement Takt the right way, 99.9% of the time, you won't ever need that contract. You won't ever need that surveillance. You're never going to go to court, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's the force majeure 1% of the time where that might happen, but don't overemphasize the importance of having that CPM schedule. Over to you. What would be some of your advice? There's a lot to unpack, but go ahead.
Yeah, another one I would say would be your work breakdown structure. The more you can have that in that phase location format, getting away from the activity format slightly, but that activity format is going to fit into CPM obviously. But the more you can have that WBS breakdown in that takted way, the easier it will be to transition. So if you have to use a CPM early on, think of that first and do that WBS accordingly.
I like that. And so real quick to build on Kevin's point, phase, area, zone, microzone, and some CPM homies are like, yeah, I'll do it, but the schedule will be longer. Hey, Doesn't bother me.
Yep.
Like, honestly, you can collapse that. You can collapse those work breakdown structure sections, and you can even summarize them with hammock activities. That was great. That's exactly the type of thing that we're looking for. One bit of advice for me would be that we at LeanTakt created the website taktguide.com or taktguide.org, and in there it talks about the Takt principles that Kevin's talking about and how to really insert that builder wisdom into whatever schedule we build. And on there's the beginning steps of a Dalbert standard for Takt and specifications that can merge those two together. So that would be another thing. Check out the taktguide.com, taktguide.org website to start including those specs in with the owner. Include Takt in your contracts and actually have a way to show an impact or a delay as close to that forensic analysis that they talk about in the Dalbert standard as humanly possible. Back to you.
Yeah, this one's going to be, a little more pointed probably. Start with Takt. So instead of starting with CPM, like we like to do, go to that macro level, Takt planning level at the very beginning of your project. The tool that we use a lot for that is LeanTakt. You can use Excel as well, but LeanTakt is amazing because you can take that Takt plan early on at the macro level, and you can export that to P6, and it will do that WBS for you. It will automatically start to put your schedule in the right formats to be able to have that kind of like CPM Takt, what would you call it?
Pairing partnership.
Yeah, exactly. So start with Takt and use LeanTakt because we love it.
Yeah, and you kind of pulled two in, because I was going to say use LeanTakt as well. You pulled two of them in at the same time, but it's really easy. If you have your production plan in LeanTakt, you can just hit export. And for the other than maybe some minor changes, it's compliant with that 14-point DCMA checklist, right? It's really, really good. They maintain, Jordan and Steve maintain the logic in LeanTakt really, really well. And it was fantastic. Back to me on one, and then I'll give you the closing. When we're transitioning from CPM to Takt, actually I have two. I'll do two all at once.
Do two at all.
Okay, so you can't come at Takt or Scrum or Lean from a CPM mindset. That's one of the things that I'm learning. It's like, we're following the Takt plan. We have a problem. Okay, now stack or burden. No. That's a CPM mindset. The CPM, if a CPM was a person and had an opinion, or if it was a government and had a constitution, the constitution would read, overburden people, work overtime, get more crews, bring out more materials, increase work in progress above capacity, crash activities by literally paying extra money, throwing money at the problem, and do whatever you can at the expense of people. That would be the constitution of the CPM government, right? That would be a CPM belief. We cannot come into Takt with that CPM mindset. That's why that taktguide.com website is so helpful, is it will say always maintain trade flow, always maintain one-piece flow, always prepare the tasks, always focus on full kit like you talked about earlier. Don't overburden people. Don't put people in unsafe situations. Come at this from a lean mindset. And it was interesting. I realized back in the day I was coming at Takt from a CPM mindset, and it was not until I took Felipe Engineer's Scrum, it's actually the scrum.org course that Felipe Engineer teaches, where in that course, and people always tell me, hey, those concepts have been around for a long time before Scrum. Okay, fine, but Scrum's where I learned it, you know what I mean? But I learned in that course these lean concepts, and then I was like, oh, I get it. So getting into that mindset is absolutely key. The other thing that I would say, Kevin and I are held up when we get to a job site and they're like, okay, we're going to pair CPM and Takt. Here's what it is. CPM, you guys have a separate Takt plan, but we're going to do pull plans, but the pull plans are really only to update the CPM schedule. And those pull plans will go in and add more detail into the CPM schedule. So now we have to use it. We're going to create the weekly work plans from the CPM schedule, and we're going to have the trade partners create them out of whole cloth every week. And but you guys can use Takt. No, basically we're not not using Takt at that point. It should be start with Kevin's idea or rule of thumb or guidance that Takt first, then CPM. And so what it would be is macro level Takt plan, pull plan, norm level Takt plan, look ahead, weekly work plan, day plan, all in a sequence. And the production plan at a rhythm would export out as a secondary consideration to the owner and as your legal as-built schedule, but everything's filtered off of the Takt plan. So we can't merge those two paths. Either Takt is first and CPM is secondary, or CPM is first and you're not doing Takt essentially, because we cannot abandon that. That pull plan has got to go into the production plan, look ahead, weekly work plan, all vertically aligned in the same format. So that's probably one of the bigger things that we deal with, right?
Yep.
And if somebody said, well, Jay Money, if we build with Takt and as-built with CPM, do you have a problem with it? I'd be like, I'm not going to say anything about it because that doesn't bother me because you're building with Takt. You're respecting people with Takt. So we'll give you the final word. You can clump up as many pieces of advice as you can.
It's funny that you said that one, because that was where I was going to go. Takt first and Takt last.
Oh, yeah.
Use the Takt plan to enable your foreman, to enable the last planners to really execute in the field. And that CPM, I liked how you said that CPM is just an extraction. It's just another version of what you need to do. So Takt first in your planning to really help you make a good plan that everybody can see and get on the same page, and then Takt last to build off of.
Ooh, can I say something real quick?
Yep.
Using the Nicholas Modig active passive information, Takt is always your active information, and CPM is never active. It's only passive, meaning it can only be a baseline, a comparison, or an as-built schedule. It's never built from. Do you like that one too?
I love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
CPM and actually, you and I have been reading the CPM books, and like they're like stacks of. Actually, a lot of the theory was originally intended for CPM to be a passive system. Mm-hmm. And then with the advent of computers, it became very, very detailed, very, very specific, very, very complex. And then they started to make it into active information. And you just can't do that when you're shoving it down people's throats. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going. Takt first and last. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, Takt first and Takt last. And I would say use your CPM schedule only in the capacity that you're required to. Yeah. That would probably be my last bit of advice. That sounds biased because I like the Takt planning way, but whatever the minimum amount of CPM you can have, your owner is going to require some minimum amount. That's probably why you're using it. Do that minimum, but don't marry yourself more to it than you need to.
Absolutely. I love that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.